I wanna presentations about the first is about what are learner external factor. A learner external factor are outside influence that affect how learners acquire a second language, and they include things beyond the learner's internal ability, such as the one is language input. Language input is exposure to spoke or written language. And number two is interactions. Interactions is communications with a teacher, peers, or native speaker. And number three, social culture environment is the cultural value and social situations where the language is used. Okay, the next is slide about the why are learners external factor important. Their factors are crucial because the first is provide real exposure or input. Is learners need to hear and read the language in authentic situations. And number two is second is encourage communications or interactions. Is talking and negotiating, meaning help learners practice and correct their understanding. And the third is shape motivation and attitude. Is a supportive and positive environment increases willingness to learn. And number four, the last is reflect cultural understanding. Is learners not only learn the language, but also how it's used socially and culturally. For example, is uh, students who regularly in watch English video, interact with classmate in English, and learns in a culture that value global communications will improve faster than someone with little exposures. Okay, thank you. The next presentation, my friend.
Right, here I will to explain the next explanations. Here I will explain about input. What is actually input here? Input is all language exposure learners receive. For example, like listening, reading, visual, and digital. It's actually provide the foundation from comprehension and language growth. So there are several other external factors. The first is interactions, which is can help student or learners process and then can be clarify their meaning they know. So the next one is social cultural context. So can be influenced of the huge opportunity and motivations and attitude toward learning from their learners. So the together these factors can be shaped how effectively learners and acquire a language they input they get from the environment. So the next one is I put the example from crash and input hypothesis. This is the theory that I got. So this is Stephen Krashen's in 1982. So he has theory which is it's called by comprehensible input language, which is he has the one I n plus one, which is I which means current knowledge, which is for example, I know how to say I like apple. So because So, and the plus one is new slightly challenges input. When I say I know to say, oh, I like apple, I like an apple. So when the teachers or my teacher give me the new insight, the new knowledge, like about color, about red, about green, so I can to add the sentence from I like red, I like apple, I like an apple, so I can add the sentence I like red apple. I like red apple. It's actually one of the example from the here the theory questions, the Stephen question, he put 1 plus 1, I plus 1 theory. So here the input connects with the instruction they get from other people, so they can make the input understandable how to create a language. So and social culture context, it's actually provide meaningful learning situations. So this is a theory from question. It's one of the principle and practice in SLA in how to learn about the second language. Maybe thank you. That's all from my presentations. So this presentation will be present my colleague.
Okay, guys, we finally arrived in this slide. It's basically talking about interaction. So, as we know, we are talking about learners' external factor in English language learning. So, when it comes to interaction, interaction is the process of exchanging information and negotiating meaning with others in the learning environment. That's why in interaction it must be at least include two persons, like students with teachers, student with other student, because uh, interaction should be about exchanging information like that. And in this classroom, in the context of classroom interaction could be discussion on reciprocal input. It's like listening to song, watching movies, or even reading books. So based on interaction, there are two statements, guys. The first one is familiar statement in 2000. She believed that interaction is more than a search of comprehensible input. So as we know, input is like how we receive language, but interaction is beyond that, guys. Because uh, when it comes to interaction, we negotiate the meaning. We asking some question about something that we don't know, and we also clarifying something. That's why interaction is more than that. Interaction is more complicated and more complex than that. Okay, and the second statement, that interaction also provides learner with opportunities to use the target language, which is the output. It's been like as we know, guys, we do negotiate the meaning, asking question, and clarifying something that we don't know. That's why we know some new knowledges, and we also uh, have the idea to produce language and talking and speaking with others because this interaction.
Next, about social cultural. So, first, what do you mean by social cultural? Actually, it's about the environment we grow up in, like our family, community, religion, or even traditions. These things actually shape how we think, how we behave, and how we learn. For example, someone who grows up in a family that values education a lot will usually be more motivated to study. Guys, language and culture can really be spirited. When we learn a new language, we are not just learning grammar or vocabulary. We are also learning how people in that culture think and communicate. like how they greet each other, how they show politeness, or show they express emotion. So that's why understanding the culture help us use the language more naturally. Culture differences in learning. Now, when we learn another language, sometimes we experience cultural differences. For instance, in some cultures, students are taught to be quiet and just listen, but in others, they are encouraged to speak up and share opinion. So, what works in one classroom might not work in another. That's why the teacher needs to help students adapt, but still respect their own culture. We call this cultural familiarization. Social cultural background and motivation. Our motivation in learning also depends on where we come from. For example, people from collectivism cultures, where teamwork and harmony are important, might prefer group work and following the teacher's directions. Meanwhile, people from individualist culture are usually more confident to speak up and take initiative. So, culture really shape how we see learning.
Okay, so here I will continue the presentation. I'm going to explain the last part, which is applying Vygotsky in instruction views. In this part, I'm presenting a table that compares how these two theories can be applied in language learning. The table shows the focus, key concept, teacher and peer rules, learning processes, classroom example, and how both views are actually connected. First, let's look at the focus. In the Vygotsky view, learning happens through social interaction and guidance. It means students learn best when they get support from others, either their teacher or their peers. Meanwhile, the interactionist view focuses on learning through interaction and negotiation of meaning. So, students learn by using the language, asking questions, and clarifying meaning to others. The next part is the key concept. Vygotsky introduced the idea of the zone of proximal development, or ZPD, is the distance between what a learner can do alone and what they can do with help. This is where learning happens. The main strategies here is scaffolding, where the teacher gives guidance step by step until student can be independent. On the other hand, the instructionist theory focuses on input, output, and feedback. Students need to receive language input, produce output, and get feedback to improve their language skills. Then, we have the role of teacher and peers. In the Vygotsky view, the teacher or peer acts as a mediator, someone who supports and guides the learning process. While in the instructionist views, the teacher provides interaction opportunities and give feedback so a student can communicate and learn from their mistakes. Next is a learning process. Both theories see learning as something active. In the Vygotskian view, students build knowledge together and use language as a tool for thinking. Meanwhile, in the interactionist views, learners enhance idea and adjust meaning through communication. So, but involve social participant, but while slightly differences emphasized. And the next is classroom example. In the Vygotskian approach, we can use group discussion or peer tutoring, where students help each other with the teacher guidance. And the interactionist approach, we can use pair works, role play, or dialogue practice, where students learn through interaction and feedback. And the last one is the connection, but theories highlight that language learning works best through social interaction. The Vygotsky view gives definition, support, and guidance, while the interactionist view give practice through communication. When combined, they create a complete learning process, quiet at the beginning, and more independent and communication and communicative later.